Guess what I'm doing right now? I'm being intentional when it comes to growing my YouTube channel. I'm recording this video being intentional. And so I want you to be intentional with your finances. Let's get into it. Now, most formal education like high school, community college, or university, they don't require you to take personal finance. Even to get a degree in an undergraduate degree, you don't even have to take personal finance. And this topic, being intentional with your money, is very important. It's one of the most important things I want to tell my children, and hopefully they catch this video later on down the line when I'm gone and past, or sometime in their 20s. I don't care. You know, this is an important factor that not a lot of people talk about, is being intentional with your finances. And it's very simple, to be honest. It's a real simple process where you use a tool like your bank or your employer, where you specifically allocate sections of your pay to certain buckets, okay? Different times in your life, you're going to want to start different buckets or different types of savings accounts or investment accounts so that you can have a goal and accomplish your goal. Because in life, you can accomplish your goals if you set your mind to it and you put your money to work in certain ways. And it's all about being intentional, guys. You got to be intentional with where you put your money, because if you don't, if you're not intentional, you're kind of just going to be sloppy at the end of the day. You're going to put your money all in one checking account, let's say, or in your pocket, right? Let's put all our money in our pocket, and you're going to burn through it. You're going to spend that money and you're going to be sloppy about it. That's what happens when you're not intentional. When you're intentional, you have actually discipline, all right? And intentionality with money typically revolves around long-term goals, whether it's investing for retirement, maybe it could be a vacation, maybe it could be a house, maybe your kid's college education, or maybe it could be a large project you want to do for your home. Maybe it's a home improvement. You know, those things take a lot of money and they take time to build up and save for, to reach that goal. And you have to be intentional about it. And it takes a lot of patience. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I'm being intentional, the ways I'm intentional today. And I've got two things that I'm going to be intentional about in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'll get started. So the first thing that I've always been intentional about since I was 20 years old is saving 6% in my 401k. And even today, when I'm 45 years old, I've got an account that's $1 million. I still save 6% in my IRA. And recently, or in my 401k, and recently I switched over from a pre-tax 401k to a Roth IRA. I was intentional about that because I realized I had too much invested in pre-tax accounts. So I want to have some post-tax accounts for when I retire. So two ways in which I was intentional. But in general, that's number one. That is the number one thing you need to be intentional about, is your retirement, okay? You got to start it early in your 20s, okay? Number two, for me, at my age, I'm 45, I still have 35 years or 25 years left on this mortgage. I'm being intentional on paying extra on my mortgage. I'm putting away $800 a month extra on my principal on my mortgage, okay? Because I want to pay it off early, maybe in 15 years, something like that. I want to be free from this debt by the time I'm 60, okay? And then number three, my wife is putting away $600 a month in a pre-tax 403b. She only has the option of doing a pre-tax account. And so she's being intentional with her money, doing $300 a check. And that totals $600 a month, which, you know, what is that? Around $7,200 a year, intentional into her retirement, which is great. And then number four, I'm putting away $500 a month in both of my kids' college accounts. I've been doing this ever since the day they were born. I did start with like 400 a month for each kid, but that was just getting a little too much, especially after I bought my new home. So I had to lower it down to 500, 250 a piece. But those accounts have grown quite a bit, and I think they'll have close to the amount they'll need for college. They might, maybe be a little less depending on how much college is. Now, I don't necessarily think that they have to go to college. I'm not necessarily requiring them to. They could use that money to start up a business or even put down a down payment on a house if they decide not to go to college. That money's theirs. I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't want to go to college, but hopefully they will. I think they will. We have a strong emphasis on education. So, but hopefully they use it. Now, if they don't use it for college, I do have to pay tax on any of the gains that I get on those accounts. So it is what it is. Let's see here. Number 5. I save $300 a month in a high yield savings account. I like to have liquidity in my life. I like to have just a little bit extra in case just something comes up that I'm not saving for, that I'm not intentional about. You never know what it could be. Like I had to dip into that when I had to dig out my window well and spend like $14,000 on it. So it happens, you have a rainy day, it happens. It could be anything. It could be a medical expense. Who knows? That's another thing too. I didn't even put in my list. My wife does save into one of those accounts for medical expenses. So that is something we are intentional about. She saves like, I think $100 a month in that thing. So in case, my kid breaks their arm, we can use that as well. And then, let's see here, number 6, I save $200 a month in a brokerage account. I continue to do an after-tax brokerage account. I like to have a little play money in there, just in case a stock comes up that I'm interested in. And I don't always have cash in my IRA. So, sometimes I do want to take a position. So I keep saving $200 a month. So what is that, like $2,400 a year? So it's, a decent amount that I'm saving in a brokerage account. And then I also save, number 7, I save $100 a month in my LLC. I do have an LLC that I have a software product that is live today. I just haven't promoted it very much. I'm working on a few things for it. And then I might start promoting it a little bit. So I do $100 a month in an LLC, which pays for the servers that I'm hosting and my accountant and things like that. So, and who knows, maybe I want to do some other investments with my company, maybe do a trade show or marketing. So who knows? And then number 8, I do $50 a month in a vacation account just to keep kind of building it up and see, maybe someday we'll dip into that if we go on some vacations. But just for an extra vacation. So those are my 8 areas where I'm intentional. And then I've got 2 new things I'm looking to be intentional about. I've got 2 old furnaces and AC units in my house. One is 20 years old and one is 12 years old. So I have a feeling those are going to go bad any year now. I mean, I'm on vacation right now, so when I get back, I'm just crossing my fingers that the AC units are still working. So I need to get intentional about that, and I estimate I'm going to need to save at least $30,000 on both sets of furnaces and AC units. So when I get back, or even today, I might get intentional and start saving at least $500 a month, I think. $500 a month would be $6,000 a year. So it would take me 3 years, 18 grand, 4 years, 24. So 5 years, it's kind of like a car payment, right guys? 5 years to save up for new furnaces and new AC units. So I'm crossing my fingers. Maybe these AC units will last me 5 years. I doubt it. So who knows? I might have to dip into my high yield savings if I have to replace an AC unit, but we'll see what happens, cross my fingers. Everyone's in that position. If you own a home, you guys know the drill. I mean, any day, if you have old furnaces or old AC units, those can go bye-bye. So that's what I'm saving up for. And then my wife and I were on a date last night, and we were talking like, okay, what do we want to do with our kids, in their teenage years for trips? And so we came up with 4 trips, which is pretty, maybe not aggressive, but a good goal to have. We'd like to go take our kids to Hawaii once. We've just been there a few times. My wife and I, we really like that. So that's probably 10 to 15 grand. We'd like to take our kids out east, which I think we would drive. We would do like the DC, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, kind of learn early American history, that kind of thing. We're really into history, so I'd like to take my kids there. I've never been to Philly or Boston. I'd like to check those places out. So that's another trip, probably, 10 grand I need to save up there. And then out west, we want to do like a 3-week, maybe fly out there and rent an RV for a couple of weeks. Do that. That'd be kind of fun. And then the last vacation would be like a trip to Europe, take our kids there. Maybe when they're older, like when my daughter's 18 or 20, my son might be 16 or 14, something like that. So that would be our 4th trip. So I need to be intentional about that and probably start saving the same amount as the furnace account. I'm going to call that account home maintenance, and I'm going to start moving $500 a month to home maintenance. And then I'm going to make maybe these 4 vacations a new account and be intentional about that and do $500 a month for that as well. So $1,000 a month I need to start saving for these 2 new intentions of mine to have goals and to live out our dreams. That's what we got to do, guys. We got to live out our dreams, and you got to be intentional about it, because if you're not, you'll just spend your money. If you leave that cash in your pocket, you're going to go from place to place and you're going to spend it. It's going to burn a hole in your pocket if you don't spend it. So you got to be intentional with all the things you want to do. And it depends on the season in life you're at. If you're near retirement, you're going to be intentional in different ways there, like I am with paying off my house. If you're early in your life, you might be intentional by saving up a down payment for a house or saving up for the birth of your children. Who knows what it might be? So we don't know. It just depends on your season in life and how you want to be intentional. But that's the key to building wealth and accomplishing your goals with money. Because these little soldiers, guys, that you send out they're like little squadrons. You send them out to different accounts and they have a job to do. Okay, they have a job to go pay for your retirement, pay for your house, pay for your vacations or your furnaces or your roof. They have jobs to do, and you got to be intentional about how those jobs are going to get solved. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below if you're being intentional with your money. What strategies are you guys using to accomplish your goals? So anyways, if you guys like the content and the channel, like and subscribe if you could. I'd appreciate it. And everyone, take a look at my previous video. And everyone, have a great day. Thanks.